Hi guys, welcome to Sarah's class again. So it's really nice to see you again. And last time we finished chapter 1. What is chapter 1 about? It was about jobs, right? So we talk about, offbeat jobs, different characteristics and skills of jobs. Okay, so now we're going to move on to next chapter. Let's open our book. I hope you have a book by now. And open to page 27. Okay, so this is Unit 2. Can you see the photo and the title? Let's look at the title and read it together. Ready? Go. Where does the time go? Where does the time go? So time goes really fast. We say, oh my God, time flies, right? As I get older, I strongly agree with the statements. Time goes really fast. Okay, so let's look at the photo, okay? What is he doing? Who's that guy? Let's talk about the photo as we go over these 3 questions together, okay? Make sure you speak out. This is speaking and listening skills class. So when I ask you questions, please answer me. I know you're watching your video maybe at home, on the subway. I'm not sure about it, but make sure you open your mouth, use your tongue, and speak out. Okay, now let's look at the questions together. So number 1, look at the student in the photo. What activities do you think he's doing? Do you ever do any of these activities at the same time? Which ones? Okay, so let's look at the picture of him. What is he doing? So he looks like a student and he's doing a lot of activities at the same time. I'm sure he's a multitasker. Okay, so a lot of Korean students say multiplayer. Multiplayer is Konglish, so don't use multiplayer. Please use multitasker. So what is he doing? Okay, so pause the video and answer. Okay, make sure when you answer, you use full sentences. For example, he is talking on the phone. He is talking on the phone. Don't just say call. That's not a full sentence. He, subject, is talking, okay, verb on the phone, object. So make sure you use full sentences when you are answering my questions from the book. He is also doing something. What is he doing? He's maybe using his laptop. Maybe he's doing his homework, right? Or maybe he's actually listening to music too. He's maybe enjoying the view of the campus. So he's doing tasks. He's doing a lot of things at the same time. So that was the answer for number 1. Now let's look at number 2 question. Ready? Challenges are things that are difficult to do. What are some challenges that students face? What are some challenges you face as a student? Okay, so we're facing a lot of difficulties and things that we have to overcome. That's called challenges. So as a student, do you have any challenges? Maybe for me, when I was young, when I was a university student, managing time was actually very difficult because I had a lot of works to do. When I was a student, I worked and made money. At the same time, I had to, study for my major. I was doing homework. So, it was not easy for me to just manage time and do a lot of things together at the same time. So that was a challenge for me. How about you? Do you have any challenges? Maybe you're having some problems and struggling with it. That could be your challenge. Please share it. Okay, so you can pause the video and tell me, okay? What your challenge is or what your problem is. Now let's go to number 3. Read the title of the unit. What do you think this expression means? When do people say this? Okay, what's the title again? The title is, where does the time go? So what's the meaning of this title? That means time goes really fast. And when do people say that? People say that when they feel like they are in rush, or they feel like, they're lacking in time, right? When they're really busy, okay? So I know you're taking a lot of classes, you're doing a lot of homeworks, maybe you have to meet your boyfriend, you're dating, or maybe you have to meet your friends, I don't know, you're working, as a part-timer, so you must be busy. So maybe you're agreeing with this statement too. Okay, so in this chapter, we're going to talk about the challenges you're facing as a student, especially maybe focusing on how to manage time. So everybody has a very busy schedule. So how do people, deal with managing time? Let's talk about it together. Okay, now let's flip to the next page, page 28. Listening 1. Student Success Workshop. Okay, so read and listen to the college website about a student workshop. Notice the bold-faced word. Try to guess their meanings. Okay, so there is a notice on, students' workshop. Okay, and there are some keywords that are in bold-faced. Okay, so make sure you know the meaning. If you don't know, if you find the meaning, please write it down. If you see any words that you're not familiar with, you can highlight it too. Okay, so let's listen to the listening activity first together.
Page 28, Vocabulary.
City College Counseling Center, Student Success Workshop. Do you feel like you don't have enough time to finish all of your daily tasks and assignments? Do you spend a lot of time studying, but still get poor grades? Do you have trouble concentrating in classes and lectures? Do you delay doing your schoolwork and put off your assignments until just before they're due? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then this College Success Workshop is for you. There are many factors that lead to student success, such as choosing the right classes, having good study skills, getting help from teachers and counselors, and staying healthy and active. Another important factor is time management. Many students don't know how to manage their time well. For example, do you try to multitask or do other activities when you study, such as text messaging friends while you do homework? You may think you're saving time, but in fact, multitasking has a negative effect on your ability to think and learn. Many research studies show that our brains are not able to concentrate on more than one challenging task at a time. Studies also show that students who multitask do worse in school than students who don't. They take more time to finish their work, and they receive lower test scores and grades. Another big problem for students is procrastination. Do you have a hard time getting started on assignments? Do you avoid your schoolwork by doing other activities instead? Or maybe you quit working on assignments when you don't know how to finish. Then you are a procrastinator. Procrastinators avoid doing the things they should be doing now, saying they will do them later. But don't worry, we're here to help. In our one-day workshop, we'll give you strategies to help you. Set goals and organize the tasks you need to get done. Learn better study habits. Avoid distractions that keep you from getting your work done. Stop procrastinating and get things done on time. Don't put it off any longer. Sign up in the counseling office today. College success will be your reward.
Okay, so did you understand? Okay, there are a lot of messages, so don't worry if you didn't understand. We're going to go over each statement slowly all together. So let's look at the passage once again. So City College Counseling Center, Student Success Workshop. So this is a workshop held by, counseling center of your university, your school, and they are trying to help you and give some tips for you. So some students are struggling with managing time because they have to study a lot, right? So do you feel like you don't have enough time to finish all of your daily tasks and assignments? So some students are dealing with, time, and they think it's difficult because they can't finish their homework on the time, right? Do you spend a lot of time studying but still get poor grades? Do you have trouble concentrating in classes and lectures? So they're not only dealing with time, but they're also talking about concentrating, focusing on classes, right? Do you delay doing your school work and put off? What's put off? Put off means delay, okay, your assignments until just before they are due. So many students delay their work, they can't finish their homeworks on time, they can't concentrate on class, they study very hard, but they get, poor grades. That's problem of a lot of actually students. That's a very common problem. Do you have the same problem? Maybe if you do, maybe this is tips for you. So get ready with that. Okay, so this workshop, is trying to give you tips and, help, students who are having the same problem as the 4 statements that are mentioned above. So, for example, what are they talking about? They're talking about problems of multitasking. So what's multitasking? If you actually go to the page before, the first page of Unit 2, he is doing a lot of things, right? At the same time. He's a multitasker. He's maybe doing homeworks, he's talking on the phone with his friend, he was listening to music, he was enjoying the view on campus. I'm sure he's a multitasker. But this passage is talking about the problems of multitasking. Okay, so many students don't know how to manage their time well. For example, do you try to multitask or do other activities when you study, such as text messaging friends while you do homework? I want to ask you, what's your answer? I'm actually multitasker. When I watch TV, I sometimes text message to my friends, and sometimes while listening to music, I drive, maybe when I try to do work, I listen to music. So I'm a multitasker. And this passage is saying it's good thing or bad thing. What's the message? They actually say it has a negative effect. What's negative? Negative means bad impacts. So it's not actually good for you because, when you are trying to think and learn, it's hard to, concentrate. So when you're doing multiple tasks at the same time, it's hard to focus on one thing. So that kind of, makes you, maybe your score down and grades down, especially when you're preparing and studying for the test. Okay, that was number 1 problem. First one, multitasking. Now let's talk about number 2 problem. So next paragraph, let's go to the next paragraph and start with another big problem for students is procrastination. Procrastination, what's the meaning of this? So do you have a hard time getting started on assignments? So a lot of people, for example, Professor Sarah gave you homework, or and this is due maybe next week, and you're saying, okay, I'm gonna do it later, I have a 1 week left. And maybe 2 days later, it's like, oh, I have 3 days left, so I'm gonna do it maybe tomorrow. You avoid the things, and this happens a lot to a lot of students, and a lot of people when you're on a diet. Oh, I'm gonna be on a diet, and then the next day, my brother ordered pizza. It's like, okay, diet will start from the day after tomorrow. That's how we are procrastinating. how we are delaying, how we're putting off our mission, our duties. Okay, so this passage is dealing with two problems. Number one is multitasking, and number two is procrastination. So if you are dealing with these problems, they provide solutions for you. They provide some tips how to actually get away from these problems, and you can actually be a better student. So number one, it's set goals and organize the tasks you need to get done. Okay, so you have to set the goals, objectives, so you can actually follow the goals, and that can become a good guideline for you. And number two, learn better study habits. So a lot of students have bad or negative study habits. For example, you're listening to music so you can't concentrate well, or maybe you're texting messages to your friends when you study. What's your study habit? Do you have any habits like this? So if you're doing the, actually having these kind of study habits that are mentioned from the book, maybe you have to stop it and make better study habits. Number three, avoid distractions that keep you from getting your work done. What's distractions? So distractions, sometimes if you want to focus on something, some people or some things distract you. That means they are actually helping you not to. They are actually, they make you not to focus on the task you're having now. So for example, I'm studying now and my phone rings all the time. My friends all the time, so I can't focus on my study. That in that case, phone call or maybe my friend can be distractions or interruption. Distraction, they are the same meaning. Okay, so avoid it. Okay, so for example, when you're trying to do your work, you can turn off your cell phone, or maybe you can, stop, messaging your friends. You can tell your friends that, okay, I'm gonna study, so please do not, message me for 3 hours from now on. You can do it. So next one is stop procrastinating and get things done on time. So start it right away, immediately. That's actually very difficult, but that's actually the easiest way to get your work done. Okay, so there are 4 tips. Don't put it off any longer. Sign up in the counseling office today. College success will be your reward. Okay, so they're persuading you to come to the counseling workshop and get some tips, and you can manage your time better, focus on your study better, and you can become a better student. Okay, so that was the listening activity. Now let's open to the page 29 and go over some vocabularies. Okay, now let's open to page 29 and look at number 2. Match each boldface word or phrase in the text with its definition or synonym. What's synonym? Synonym means the words that have the same meaning. For example, distraction, interruption, they have the same definition, so they are synonyms. Definition means meaning. Definition, meaning, they are synonyms too. So on the left side, there are words, 12 words from the passage. And on the right side, there are definitions. So please match them together, and we're going to check the answer together. Let's go over an example first. Number 1, it's task. The answer is H, jobs, or pieces of work that must be done. Okay, so please pause the video. Maybe I think more than 5 minutes will be enough for you, and we can check the answer together. Okay, now let's move on to next page, page 30. So the first passage we listened was about, workshop, right? The City College Counseling Workshop, and it was like an advertisement. It was about notice on the workshop. Now we are gonna go to the workshop and listen to what the counselor is talking about. Okay, so page 30, and let's look at number 1. So listen to the whole workshop. Create a chart like the one below to take notes. So last time we talked about how to take notes. What's the tips for taking notes? So you don't have to write the full sentence. You can just focus on key points. Key points include maybe nouns, verbs, and adjectives. So you don't have to, write it, pretty, full word. You can make it simple and easy. So the whole point of taking notes is just writing down the main points. Okay? So while you're listening, this is pretty long, so please listen carefully and make some notes. When you make some notes, you have to divide and split to main ideas and details. So let's look at the example together. So first one, main ideas, it's multitasking and negative effects on success. So when you write that in a full sentence, you can say multitasking is not good. It gives negative effects on success. But here, we didn't write the full sentence, but we just write the point form, make it simple and short. Details. Example, surf web, chat, study. That could be multitasking, right? So when you're studying, maybe you're surfing web, you're using internet, you're maybe chatting, and you're studying all at the same time. And that's actually not very good. So your goal is avoid. Okay? So they use very short and simple form just to write down the key points. So while you're listening, please focus and pay attention to it and write down the notes. Okay, let's get started.
No, I didn't.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you here today. One of the most important factors in school success is having good study habits. So, I'd like to start out by asking you all a few questions about your study habits. Then later, I'll suggest some strategies that will help you study and manage your time better. So, how many of you like to multitask? Like surf the web or chat with your friends while you study? Okay, I see a lot of you. Well, I hate to say this, but research studies show that multitasking has negative effects on your school success. So, the first goal you should set for yourselves is to avoid multitasking while you study. Think you can do it?
Oh, yeah, I can definitely do that. Yeah.
Okay, so now, let's talk about another bad study habit, procrastination. Imagine this situation. You get an assignment to write a research paper for your English class, and you have 2 weeks to finish it. How many of you think you'll start working on it the first day? Okay, I see a couple of hands. How many of you will probably put it off for a few days? Be honest. All right. Who would put it off to the last day and then stay up all night trying to finish it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't feel too bad. Researchers say that 80 to 95% of students procrastinate sometimes, and about 20% do it often. They also say that procrastination is getting worse. People are becoming more distracted and putting off their work more than they did in the past. So, let's talk about some strategies to help you avoid those problems and manage your time better. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to set goals. That means you need to think about all of the tasks you need or want to get done. Write them all down. The next step is to put your list of goals in order from most important to least important. So, for example, your math homework needs to come before seeing that new movie, right? The third step is to use a calendar to plan your time. Schedule all of your tasks and be sure to give yourself plenty of time to do them. And be careful with big assignments, like that English paper. You can't do it all at once, right? No, you need to divide it into smaller tasks that you can do one at a time. Also, don't forget to schedule things like exercising, getting enough sleep, seeing friends. Those are important too. Okay, so tell me, does anybody have any questions so far? No? Okay, so finally comes the hard part. Avoiding distractions and getting your work done. But how can you do it? Well, there's no one right answer. You need to find what works for you. But here are a few strategies you can try. One idea is the do-nothing strategy. This strategy has 2 rules. The first rule is you don't have to do your work.
What? Really?
That's right. But there's another rule. The second rule is you can't do anything else.
Oh.
So, when your 2 choices are your work or nothing, it's easy. But the problem is, it's so easy to get distracted. Phones, friends, the internet, right? So another strategy is to remove all of your distractions. Turn off your phone. Hide it in another room if you have to. Put away the video games. Turn off your internet. Do whatever you need to avoid distractions. A third strategy is to promise yourself a reward when you finish your work. For example, tell yourself you can go to the party on Saturday after you get your homework done. A final suggestion comes from Piers Steele, who is a researcher and a procrastinator himself. In fact, he took 10 years to finish his study on procrastination. He suggests this. Give some money to another person and tell the person that if you don't finish your work on time, they can give the money away. They can give it to a stranger, or even worse, to someone you don't like. Now that should keep you working.
Okay, how was it? It was pretty long, so I suggest you pause the video and then maybe listen to one more time. Okay, so there are a lot of information. The counselor talk about different things. So first one, multitasking. It gives negative effects on success. For example, when you're surfing web, chatting, studying at the same time, it's not good study habits. So your goal should be avoided. Okay, so that was the example from taking notes. Did you take some notes? Okay, so if you didn't get it all, please listen one more time once again. And let's check our chart together. All right, so procrastination, it's a bad study habit. So about from 80 to 95% of students sometimes actually do it. 20% of students often, do it, and they get worse. And a lot of people are more distracted. Next one, strategies to manage time better. So number 1, you have to set goals and write down. Number 2, put in order of importance. Okay, make a priority, and then you can make a list of it. Number 3, use calendar. Plan time. And number 4 is avoid distractions. Okay, so how can we avoid distraction? That's an important tip. Number 1, it was actually very funny. Everybody was surprised when actually they listened to, what counselor was talking about. Number 1 was do nothing. So don't have to do work, but can't do anything else. So you're trying to focus on one task, right? Just try to avoid multitasking. Number 2 is remove distractions. So for example, you can hide phone or video games, or maybe turn off your internet, or maybe it can be your smartphone too. Number 3, reward when you're done. For example, oh my God, if I finish this homework, I can go to the party. After this, I'm gonna buy an ice cream. That could be reward for you. So self-reward could be another strategy for you. Last one, number 4, give money away until done. So for example, the counselor was saying that you can give money to someone you don't like. So that's actually very, very funny and interesting strategy. But it could be, one of the ways that can, help you avoid distractions. I hope you just write down the just important key points and their examples. your answer can be different from my example. So if you didn't just write everything, please fill the blanks. You can follow this, example that I just showed previously. And I hope you understand the this listening activity, and listen one more time. Okay, let's move on. Let's open to page 31 again. And there are some questions about this listening. Okay, let's look at the bottom part of page 30. Details. Okay, so listen again and add to your notes. Circle the best answer to complete its statements. Use your notes to help you. Okay, so number 1, there is a blank. Okay. Blank of students in the workshop like to multitask while they study. So when you actually look at the question, make sure you compare it with your notes that you took it down, okay? And there are 9 questions, and they ask you details about this listen activity. So we're going to listen one more time, okay? Please pay attention to it and check the answer for number 1 to number 9.
No, I didn't.
Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you here today. One of the most important factors in school success is having good study habits. So, I'd like to start out by asking you all a few questions about your study habits. Then later, I'll suggest some strategies that will help you study and manage your time better. So, how many of you like to multitask? Like surf the web or chat with your friends while you study. Okay, I see a lot of you. Well, I hate to say this, but research studies show that multitasking has negative effects on your school success. So, the first goal you should set for yourselves is to avoid multitasking while you study. Think you can do it?
Oh, yeah, I can definitely do that. Yeah.
Okay, so now, let's talk about another bad study habit, procrastination. Imagine this situation. You get an assignment to write a research paper for your English class, and you have 2 weeks to finish it. How many of you think you'll start working on it the first day? Okay, I see a couple of hands. How many of you will probably put it off for a few days? Be honest. All right. Who would put it off to the last day and then stay up all night trying to finish it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't feel too bad. Researchers say that 80 to 95% of students procrastinate sometimes, and about 20% do it often. They also say that procrastination is getting worse. People are becoming more distracted and putting off their work more than they did in the past. So, let's talk about some strategies to help you avoid those problems and manage your time better. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is to set goals. That means you need to think about all of the tasks you need or want to get done. Write them all down. The next step is to put your list of goals in order from most important to least important. So, for example, your math homework needs to come before seeing that new movie, right? The third step is to use a calendar to plan your time. Schedule all of your tasks and be sure to give yourself plenty of time to do them. And be careful with big assignments, like that English paper. You can't do it all at once, right? No, you need to divide it into smaller tasks that you can do one at a time. Also, don't forget to schedule things like exercising, getting enough sleep, seeing friends. Those are important too. Okay, so tell me, does anybody have any questions so far? No? Okay, so finally comes the hard part. Avoiding distractions and getting your work done. But how can you do it? Well, there's no one right answer. You need to find what works for you. But here are a few strategies you can try. One idea is the do-nothing strategy. This strategy has 2 rules. The first rule is you don't have to do your work.
What? Really?
Okay.
That's right. But there's another rule. The second rule is you can't do anything else.
Oh.
So, when your 2 choices are your work or nothing, it's easy. But the problem is, it's so easy to get distracted. Phones, friends, the internet, right? So another strategy is to remove all of your distractions. Turn off your phone. Hide it in another room if you have to. Put away the video games. Turn off your internet. Do whatever you need to avoid distractions. A third strategy is to promise yourself a reward when you finish your work. For example, tell yourself you can go to the party on Saturday after you get your homework done. A final suggestion comes from Piers Steele, who is a researcher and a procrastinator himself. In fact, he took 10 years to finish his study on procrastination. He suggests this. Give some money to another person and tell the person that if you don't finish your work on time, they can give the money away. They can give it to a stranger, or even worse, to someone you don't like. Now that should keep you working.
Okay, so we listen to the listening activity once again, and we'll check the answer from number 1 to number 9 on page 30 and 31. It was actually pretty long. It was about maybe more than 5 minutes, so it's not easy to just remember and memorize all the information, right? So that's the reason why we're taking notes down. So I hope you took notes down and it helped you while you're answering these questions on page 30 and page 31. So let's check the answer together. So number 1, the answer is B. A lot of the students in the workshop like to multitask while they study. Okay. Number 2, the answer is C. 80 to 95% of students procrastinate sometimes. Procrastinate means delay. That's a lot of students from 80 to 95, right? Let's check the answer for number 3. Number 3, the answer is A. The counselor suggests that you order your goals from most important to least important. So you're making a list, like a priority. So number 1, the most important thing. And then maybe number 10 will be the least important, maybe your task to do. Let's check the answer for number 4. The answer is B. The counselor suggests that you schedule things like exercising, getting enough sleep, and seeing friends. Moving on, number 5. The answer is A. The counselor thinks you should find the strategies that work best for you to get your work done. So everybody is a different individual, so sometimes this strategy works for person A, but it doesn't work for person B. So you have to find the suitable strategy that will help you individually. Let's go to number 6. The answer is A. With the do nothing strategy, you can do your work or do nothing. So I actually love this strategy. So when you're focusing on your work, you have to work really hard, just concentrating just one single one. But when you're taking a rest, you have to get just rest fully, enough rest, right? So you shouldn't do anything, and you're just taking your time, and you're to just do nothing and enjoy your free time. I love this strategy. Okay, number 7. The answer is C. Reading, but not answering your text message is not a way to remove distractions. So that's very passive way. So you have to be active in when you're trying to just remove your distractions. So for example, putting away your video games. So, okay, so stop it. Okay, turning off your internet. That's a good strategy to just, getting away from distractions. Reading but not answering, it's actually still distracts you. So for example, when I see a message and don't reply, I feel like I should, answer him. What should I do? And you're not focusing, you're not concentrating on your study. Number 8, what's the answer? The answer is B. Okay, Pierre still took 10 years to finish his research on procrastinations. So he took a lot of years, a decade, 10 years. So maybe he was delaying his, study on procrastination too. Last, number 9, the answer is A. Pierre still suggests giving away some money if you don't get your work done. Yeah, so money is valuable. So he was suggesting maybe, if you give money to someone and then maybe tell him, oh, if I finish the work, you can give me money back. But if I don't finish, you can just move away. The worst way is maybe you can give money to someone you don't like. It was actually very interesting and funny way. But maybe I think it will be very effective. Okay, so we checked the answers. Please change your answer if you didn't get it all right. Okay, it was a lot of information, but it was actually very helpful tips and strategies for you to focus on studies. Okay, so now let's move on to page 32, and we're going to talk about inferring the purpose of questions. Okay, so an inference is a guess about something that is not said directly. So last time from chapter 1, we also talked about inference. So it's not said directly, but there is a hidden meaning, and it makes maybe sometimes the words humorous and jokes, right? Okay, so speakers often ask questions when they are teaching or presenting information. I also ask you a lot of questions, right? This is a way to get our attention and involve us in the presentation. So if I'm the only one who just talks and give you information, that'll be really boring for you. So to just get the attention from the audience, my students, I sometimes ask you questions. You can think about it and maybe, come up with your own, own questions, own maybe answer. Okay, next one. Sometimes we need to guess when a speaker wants responses to a questions, or when the speaker wants us to just listen for the answers. When speakers want us to respond, they may use a signal phrase. For example, tell me, or how many. So maybe from the previous listening activity, the counselor was asking a lot of questions that start with how many, tell me, okay? These phrases tell us the speaker wants the audience to answer. Speakers also pause and wait for us to answer the question or raise our hands. However, sometimes speakers just want us to pay attention and think about the answer to a question. Okay? Sometimes, when I ask you questions, you can actually directly answer to me. So let's say that this is a real class, like offline, face-to-face class, and I can say, how many of you want to learn English? And you can raise your hand, and then you can say, me, here, right? But sometimes I ask you questions, and it's not that I'm expecting you to answer, but you can just come up with the answer on your mind. You don't have to say it, and speak out, but maybe you can think about the answers by yourself. In this case, speakers don't wait long enough for us to respond. Instead, they answer the questions themselves. Okay, so we're going to read and listen to the example. How do you know the speaker wants a response? So this part is talking about two different questions. Case one is when speaker wants a direct response from the audience. And number 2 is maybe speaker doesn't want you to answer, right? But just think about it. Okay, so college counselor will say, okay, and you can listen.
Page 32, make inferences. Example 1.
So, how many of you like to multitask? You know, like surf the web or chat with your friends while you study? Okay, I see a lot of you.
Okay, so, while she was talking, she actually made a pause in between questions. So, how many of you like to multitask? Like to surf the web or chat with your friends while you study, and there is a pause, right? So that means she's expecting actually the audience to answer, raise their hands. And then she checked, people were raising hand, and she say, okay, I see a lot of you. So that means, people actually directly answer to her question and showed responses. Okay. In this example, the speaker signals that she wants the audience to respond to the questions by saying, so how many of you? She also pauses and waits for the students to respond. Okay, now let's move on to the next example.
Page 32. Make inferences. Example 2.
And be careful with big assignments, like that English paper. You can't do it all at once, right? No, you need to divide it into smaller tasks that you can do one at a time.
Okay, so this speaking was a little bit different. Of course, she asked the questions. Okay, in this time, she also asked the question, and be careful with big assignments, like the English paper. You can't do it all at once, right? Right was the questions, but did she actually expect the student to answer these questions? They say, yeah, no, actually they didn't say it. And she didn't pause. She moved on to her next sentence right away. No, you need to divide it. So no, she answered her own questions by herself because she wasn't waiting, right? So in this example, the speaker doesn't wait for responses. She just wants us to think about the answers, okay? But then she answered the question herself.
Excerpt 1.
Imagine this situation. You get an assignment to write a research paper for your English class, and you have 2 weeks to finish it. How many of you think you'll start working on it the first day? Okay, I see a couple of hands.
Excerpt 2.
Also, don't forget to schedule things like exercising, getting enough sleep, seeing friends. Those are important too. Okay, so tell me, does anybody have any questions so far? No?
Excerpt 3.
Okay, so finally comes the hard part. Avoiding distractions and getting your work done. But how can you do it? Well, there's no one right answer. You need to find what works for you.
Okay, let's check the answer. So number 1, the speaker wants the audience to respond. Okay, how do you know? The speaker doesn't use signal phrases to invite a response. Number 3, the speaker waits for a response. Okay, so let's listen one more time and check the answer. Okay, let's check the answers. Number 1, the speaker wants the audience to respond. A. Okay, number 2, how do you know? The answer is B. The speaker doesn't use signal phrases to invite a response. Number 3, the answer is A. The speaker waits for a response. Okay. Moving on, let's move on to excerpt 2. Number 1, the speaker wants the audience to respond. The answer is A. How do you know? The speaker uses signal phrases to invite a response. The answer is A. Number 3, the speaker waits for a response. The answer is A. Okay, next one, excerpt 3. The answer is B. The speaker just wants the audience attention. Number 2, the speaker doesn't use signal phrases to invite a response. Number 3, the speaker doesn't wait for a response. Okay, check the answer, please. Okay, so in chapter 2, where does the time go? We went over 2 listening activities. First one was college website about a student workshop, and second one was college counselor, and she talked about how to manage the students' time. So I'm sure you also have your own challenges and problems that you are facing as a student, and I want you to tell me about it. So first questions that you can answer is, what are some challenges that you face as a student? Perhaps you have a problems about, your school life or your personal relationship or maybe about your job, right? So tell me about your problem and your challenges. So you can just answer in a short sentence or maybe short paragraph, and please write in full sentences. Okay, and number 2 questions. Can you think about any solution for your problem? So it's difficult to find solution for your own problem, but let's think about it and talk about it together. So in order to solve your problem, which is answer for first questions, tell me about your own solutions. Maybe, also in the listening activity, the counselor provides some solutions. Concentrating on your work. Do you have any solutions? Something, maybe like remove your bad study habits, or make some more friends, or maybe exercise. That could be a solution for your problem, for your managing time or taking care of your health, and maybe making a better friendship. So please answer these 2 questions, okay? Write in the comments, and you can also give feedbacks and comments for each other. Okay, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!